Welcome, everybody, to the Beer Guys Radio Show. Thanks for joining us. We always appreciate it. This is one of our favorite, and actually one of your favorite episodes every year. This is one of our most popular episodes. This is our annual Oktoberfest beer tasting episode, which I believe we've been doing consistently. Have we done it every year of the show, Brian? Maybe not the first year. I think we did some things where we did Oktoberfest events, but not our blind tasting. But we've been doing that at least 5 or 6 years, I'm sure.
Yeah, I want to say that one of the, was it last year was our 7th, or this one? This year was our 7th? I saw that written down somewhere. Like, not every year, but like most of them.
I believe this is a conversation we have every year, how many we've done, because we don't remember from year to year. But anyhow,
it's unknowable.
I am Tim Dennis. Brian Hewitt, how are you?
I'm great. Oktoberfest beers, love them. I'm glad the season is finally here. We're finally in the Oktoberfest season. Yeah.
Do you know that our tasting was the first Oktoberfest beer that I've had this year? Like, we went out a couple weekends ago to Halfway Crooks Beer, and they did not have their Oktoberfest out yet, but we did get to sample that one. That's not in our ranking list, and we'll explain why here in a little bit, but we did get to drink it. Mike Nate, how you doing?
Doing well. I told you guys that I got a little bit of promotion at work, and so
congrats. Always a good thing.
That kicked in this week, and so the benefit of having one full-time job and one part-time job on top of it. So all for the same company. So it's just a lot of work right now, but I'm happy to be here and talking Oktoberfest for you boys.
All right. Do you get a full-time and part-time pay, or is it still just?
I do not get a full-time and part-time pay. I did get a raise, and I am still hourly, so I do get overtime.
All right. Well, that's not too bad.
That's good.
Yeah. It sounds like they're taking care of you there. So that's good.
Yeah. I'm not too upset about it.
Awesome. Well, y'all, unusual for our Oktoberfest show, but because of the way that we are recording it, we do actually have some beers of the week this week. Brian, what are you sipping on?
Yeah, so Mike Nate did his road trip, and he brought back for me something I've been wanting for years to drink again, Von Trapp Pilsner. I had some as a pregame type of warm-up beer, and still wonderful, still glorious. Recommended if you have the, access to that. Great beer. I am currently drinking an Oktoberfest-Märzen from Warsteiner, and it's one of the beers that will be featured in the show. I'm not going to say anything about it at all other than that, so... And as a post game, when we're done, we're wrapping things up. I'll get into Six Bridges Feierabend, which is also a Märzen. And these just happen to be beers I had left over from the show. So do not read anything into them other than these were ones I had available for me to drink. And I felt like drinking Oktoberfest beers during our Oktoberfest show recording.
These are here. Nate, will you look up what Feierabend means? I assume that is a word with some meaning to it. So
let's see.
I know there are several beers that have that name. I was looking it up earlier, so it definitely has some sort of a meaning.
Right. Nate, what are your beers for the week?
I am drinking, so I didn't write them down, but I have also a leftover beer from the show, the Sierra Nevada Oktoberfest Fest beer, which is a collaboration with Stort. I'm not great at
good stuff.
European.
Yeah. All right.
Anyways, this is a Märzen, and then on deck, also from Von Trapp, I've got their Oktoberfest, which is also a Märzen. So looking forward to that.
Okay, good stuff. Here is the beer list of all the beers that we got into. And guys, I tell you what we do. I'll share the beer list. Brian, you've got some info on actual Oktoberfest, and then we will get into. How about we talk about like the first 6? Then we'll let you share some of your Oktoberfest stats that you so kindly bring us each year, Brian.
Okay.
And then we'll go over our last 6, and we'll wrap the show up with our winners there. Nate, what you got for us?
I would like to interject. I did find the translation for the Six Bridges beer name. It means we're celebrating the end of the day. It's the quitting day or quitting time. Yeah.
Quitting time, man. Quitting time. Mm-hmm. Okay. That's cool. All right, y'all. As we do every year, we taste 12 beers. We make a list of 12 because that's a reasonable number to drink without getting too ridiculous. And if you have never done a beer tasting, especially when they're all the same style or similar styles, they're not easy. And you'll get palate fatigue. We had to have some plain crackers there to clean the palate. We had to take a little bit of break and do things there. And we get into it. And I'm going to back up a second before I totally forget this. I want to give a shout out to Party Nate. Party Nate is Mo Mike Nate's roommate. And he catered the event. I'm going to say catered because he threw down there. So we had bratwurst, we had beer cheese dip. He made the warm German potato salad. We had a pasta salad. There was cheeses and crackers and charcuteries, a couple different kinds of mustard. So we went all out. And I contributed by ordering pretzels from Quick Trip on the app and stopping by on the way over there. So we had some nice and you know what? I say that jokingly, their pretzels are good.
Yes.
If you've got a Quick Trip near you and you're wanting a soft pretzel, they're good. So, shout out to Quick Trip there. But Party Nate, thank you, sir. That was a very nice event all the way around. But our beer list, so 12 beers. We always try and make a mix of domestics and actual German beers. We try to put ones on the list that have fairly wide distribution. So we're not, showing too much love just here for the local stuff. And if one of them wins, you can't get it. We usually throw one or so in there to give some love to the locals. But on our tasting this year, we had Ayinger Private Breweries, Oktoberfestbier. So Ayinger, Oktoberfestbier. From Brooklyn Brewery, we had their Brooklyn Oktoberfest. From Fat Orange Cat, we had Bavarian Kittens. From Hacker-Pschorr, we had Oktoberfestmärzen. From Hofbräuhaus, we had their Oktoberfestbier. From Samuel Adams, we had Oktoberfest. From Sierra Nevada Brewing Company and Stortebecker, Oktoberfest. Local loved here from Six Bridges, the one Brian was just talking about, the Feierabend. From Ayinger, wait a minute. Ayinger's on there twice. Or wait.
Oh, are they on there twice?
Oh, I think the list is messed up. Okay, we've got a few repeats here. Then from the Spotzel Brewery, Shiner's Oktoberfest. From Tucherbrau, Festbier. From Vorsteiner, we have Oktoberfest. And from Weihenstephaner, we have their Oktoberfest beer. And to anyone that actually speaks German, I apologize now for the way I absolutely brutalized many of those names. But that was what we did. And Brian, you kind of broke down some averages here on the beers or commonalities in the beer. So tell us about the beers that we tasted.
Yeah, I like to do a little stats on what we're drinking. We have a pretty even split this year. We've got 6 German and 6 U.S. beers, and now I guess one of them it's kind of like one of them's like 5.5 and 6.5 because the Sierra Nevada one is actually a collaboration with the a German brewery, right. But it's brewed here in the U.S. As far as I know. So I think it would make sense because it has our can. So we're going to call it U.S. And I've tasted it. Not contributing to this, but it's hoppy. It's like Sierra Nevada. So I'm like, it's definitely a Sierra Nevada beer. In terms of styles, we have 8 Märzens this year and 4 Fest beers. We shifted by 1 towards Fest beer this year compared to last year. So 1 extra Fest beer. Last year we had like 9 Märzens and 3 Fest beers, I believe. In terms of ABV, which is always fun to see, they're usually pretty uniform, but this year the highest ABV was from Hofbräuhaus, München, which is their Oktoberfest beer at 6.3%. The lowest ABV was Sam Adams at 5.3%. Let me double scanning that real quick and making sure. Yep, that does look to be right. Though there might actually be a tie. Nope, it is just that one. Okay. And the average ABV of all of them is 5.74%, which is actually up slightly from last year. So it's up 0.06% ABV. So we're getting a little
pretty tight on these style beers. Only 1% from the highest and lowest. So not too bad there. Yeah.
Not a lot of variation. A few years we've done some where we brought in some random like wild cards from wherever, and they've gone a little high with the ABVs. But for the most part, we're looking 5 to 6%, which is nice. In terms of IBUs, they're a little less. There's a little less information about this. Only 6 of the beers had any information reported about IBUs, at least in Untapped, and I didn't go searching too hard for it. The highest and average IBU numbers did not change compared to last year, so we're right there with those. The highest IBUs is 26, and that's a tie between Weihenstephaner and Hofbräuhaus. The lowest is Sam Adams Oktoberfest with only 16 IBUs, and the average is 25. So it's okay. About right, I think, for
About
the style.
there, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
nothing too dramatic either way. It's interesting the Sam Adams is so low with it. They didn't really stand out necessarily to me as being noticeable in that way. But you know what? I was blind tasting it, so I had no idea I was drinking them. So that
Okay.
is what I have for this year's stats about our beers.
Fancy stuff, guys. Well, all right, let's get into it. Let's cover our first 6 that we tried. And I'm going to throw a little bit of a spoiler alert out. And you guys, correct me if I'm wrong. First of all, for the first time ever in the history of our beer tasting, blindly tasting, all 3 of us agreed in order on the top 3 beers. So I'm pretty sure.
Pretty close. Yeah.
If not, they're the same 3 beers, which again, that does not happen for us. So
almost never.
There was literally never, not almost. Literally, we have never all agreed on the top beer. And Party Nate couldn't join us tonight, but his list was the same, and I think in a different order. So there was a consistency on which ones are the best there.
I think there was a mix up between 2 and 3 between a few people. Like it was the same top 3, but
we'll
2
find
and 3
out soon. Stay tuned to find out.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Find out more.
Again, another little bit of a spoiler here. Guys, I thought overall the selection of beers that we had this year was fairly uninspired. With the few standouts there, I think we had some pretty poor showings. And I was actually curious if we may have had like some of last year's stock left over. I don't, because some very big popular beers that we've enjoyed quite a lot in the past just did not deliver. And I don't think I tried. No, there was one that I thought was actually bad. But most of them were just uninspired. That's Nate. What are your thoughts on that?
You know, it felt like the wings of the tasting. It felt like we started out strong and we finished strong, but somewhere in the middle, it just got a little muddled. I was a little let down with this tasting. You know, this is something that we look forward to, that the audience looks forward to every year. And so, you know, you would hope that the beers would show up, and some of them did, but it didn't feel like a majority of them did.
Right. And it did make it easier for the cream to rise to the top there, though. So that's for sure. So, Brian, anything to add there?
I think we were halfway through it. So we're talking about the first 6. We were halfway through it, and I know comments were made. I'm like, I don't know if I have a 3 that I'd be willing to recommend.
That's correct. Yeah.
And that was a very real concern of the groupings. I think the second, because we did them in 4 groups. So we did the first 3.
Right.
The first 3 were not bad. I'm like, I had a solid contender in there for my favorites already in the first 3, but in the second 3, I'm like, there's nothing in here that some of these aren't very good, and there's definitely nothing in here that beats the first 3. So
when you're halfway through your beer tasting and you really only have one that you think you could consider, so. And we're probably, with what we're about to say, we're probably, sharing some info, things you can see to come there. But anyhow, the first beer that we tried was the Weihenstephaner. And my notes on that is that was a slight sweetness to it, had a little bit of hoppiness, a noticeable hoppiness. And I got kind of grass and hay notes. All of that to me in a very pleasant way. Everything, it seemed to have good character. It was a little lighter. The overall flavor on it, overall body was a little lighter. But what was there, I thought was pleasant, very drinkable. And I think it would have been a great one to throw down with some food, which we did. So, I think that that was it there. Brian, what are your thoughts on the Weihenstephaner?
Yeah, I thought it was, I like that. It initially, when we first got it, it was a little warm. We cooled it off again. And this is the probably the one and only beer that when I tasted, I'm like, this is definitely from Germany. I know that I could taste it. It had a little hint of that, a little pleasant hint of the touch of light struck that you get in German bottles. That was in there, but it also had nice touch of caramel to it. And like, it just, everything about it, it seemed like it had depth. It had some variety to it. I really enjoyed that one. And the more I drank it, the more I liked it. It went from being, okay, this is definitely German, to like, I really, really like this. I just want to keep drinking it.
This one.
And I got more samples as I was going along to compare it to other ones. So I don't want to go too much further. I did guess this was German. I was thinking it was the Warsteiner, which I should have known better then, because the Warsteiner was an Oktoberfest. I happen to be drinking that right now. And it was very clear to me, all of the first three, especially this one, were all fest beers. They're all like straw colored. Yeah,
right.
These were definitely fest beers. So I didn't have a lot of really good guesses this time around, and this one I was definitely off on.
Gotcha. Nate, thoughts to add?
So on this first one, yeah, I agree with Brian's sentiment. It definitely was a fest beer. Tim, I agree with you on how this was just like a light, very easily approachable beer. For me, in my notes on this, that it had a mild hop bite. I did say it was kind of bland, but honestly, I think we misinterpreted kind of bland to just an easy drinker. You know, it was balanced.
Sure.
It was balanced. It didn't have any like sharp flavor notes or any flavor experiences in any direction. It just was middle of the road, just something consistent.
There you go. Our number 2 beer was Sierra Nevada. And Nate, we're just going to go right back to you, man. What are your thoughts on the Sierra Nevada?
Great. This one, you know, when we're doing a beer tasting and I had 3 beers in front of me. So I'm comparing them. So I said, comparatively to number 1, this one was a little bit more bready to me, but it had a bitter finish, and the bitter finish just sort of left this weird taste in my mouth, and I didn't like it as much.
Brian, Sierra Nevada.
I agree with you on that. There was it was bitter or even astringent finish to this that I didn't care for. There were notes to it I liked very much up until the finish, and that alone, I think the way it ended up, I'm like, no, this is not it. And I wonder, because I didn't recognize this, but I'd had this particular one before, and it didn't. I must have been a difference of how much I was focusing on the flavor. I'm like, definitely didn't care for it as much when I focused on it. So yeah.
Not my favorite. For me, my notes, I didn't have a lot to say. And y'all, with as much as we've been drinking this, and again, for those that watch the show on a regular basis, I'm really trying to watch my alcohol intake because it hasn't agreed with me. So if I had one I didn't like, I just dumped it. I didn't keep trying to force myself to enjoy it there. And my notes said that it tasted very green to me. That was the way I remember perceiving it. Had kind of a dry finish to it. And yeah, that bitterness, astringency, it just wasn't pleasant. And I got to admit, finding out this was Sierra Nevada, that was a surprise to me. You know, we usually expect pretty good things out of them. And this one, I don't think delivered for any of it. So the number 3 beer we got into was the Tucher Brow. Brian, thoughts?
Yeah, I had this as being like sweeter, a little bit more like grainy, crackery than some of the other ones. It didn't strike me as necessarily being German, even though obviously it was. It had a little bit more of a syrupy mouthfeel, I noticed, and it was considerably more effervescent or carbonated than the rest. I thought this was pretty good. I didn't like this as much as number 1, but I thought this was pretty solid. And I think going forward, it was one of my higher picks. I'm not going to say where it ended up in the whole ranking, but it was up there. I like this one a fair amount. But last year it did extremely well. So I don't know what happened between last year and this year.
All right, Nate, thoughts?
I didn't have a whole lot of notes on this one. I just said that it was more on the malty side than on the hop bitter side.
Okay. And that's my notes on it say there's some malt present to it. There's some hops. And then I said, okay, but not great. You know, it just didn't really stand out. It's like, yeah, this is fine. If you were somewhere and they served you this, I don't think I would have been thrilled. You know, I guess it depends on if I was at a German restaurant, you know, a good German restaurant, but if I was at a truck stop, I'd be like, all right, I'm at a truck stop. I kind of have to expect
a German truck stop.
It's a German truck stop.
Okay.
Yeah, on the Autobahn. So you got to drink fast. So, yeah. All right, guys. Our number 4 beer was Hofbräuhaus. My notes, it tasted muddled. It just didn't taste like it. Everything was kind of blended together, not in a good way. Nothing really stood out as being any character to it. Tasted dirty, kind of to me, and just not good. I just didn't enjoy it at all. So, Nate, what do you think there on the Hofbräuhaus?
To be honest with you, the only notes I have is okay aroma and straw with light bitterness. It was fine.
There you go. Yeah.
Brian?
I had a few more thoughts. Again, this looked like a fest beer to me. It was lighter. I wrote down that I think it has a brewing flaw in it, and I specifically said I get a little of that green quality that you were talking about in number 2, and the finish is a little odd. I was like, I wrote down that I'm disqualifying this from my top, but I also think it's better than number 2. So I guess number 2 did not fare very well at all. But
yeah, that's like, well, all right,
it's better than number 2, but it's it's still not one that I was going to pick as a winner.
Yeah. All right. Our 5th beer in the flight was Vorsteiner. And my notes say that it had a sour taste to it and it was salty, which are 2 things I do not expect from my Oktoberfest beers. So, Brian, thoughts on the Vorsteiner?
I'm actually drinking it right now. I'm thinking about, like, does this seem sour or salty to me? I'm like, was that the pretzel and the hand soap talking? I don't even know. But so the number 5. Crackery, dry, pleasant, but kind of a little boring is what I thought. I did say it finishes unpleasantly, and I'm like, I'm drinking it now. I'm like, yeah, maybe a little bit. Yeah, there might be a little unpleasantness in there, but
do you like it better today than you did at our tasting?
I'm enjoying it more now, yes.
Okay.
But
all right.
This is not preceded by 4 other, beers of varying quality.
Fair enough.
I am enjoying it more right now. I did actually, I noted that I tasted a hint of vegetables in this, which I thought was interesting. I'm like, wow, that's interesting. That's weird. Yeah, I don't know. So that was that was about it. I really didn't do well. So this second half of the 6, none of them did well for me. Now I'm having it now, and I'm like, well, this isn't terrible. I mean,
okay.
But I guess I wasn't magnifying as much.
Due to time here. Nate, your thoughts?
I have one word on my review for this beer, and it was unremarkable.
There you go. Easy enough. Yeah. Y'all, our number 6 beer was the Sam Adams, which is one that we think we've really went back and forth on this one over the years. So, Nate, what was your thought on Sam Adams?
It's just okay.
Okay.
I didn't really have any noticeable notes. It wasn't, nothing really stood out to me. I'm looking over at Party Nate's notes. He said caramel malt is there, not a standout.
Okay. Brian, Sam Adams?
Yeah, this is the one I wrote down was the first that we had encountered that was an obvious Märzen to me. I said good malt flavor. I guess this had the lowest IBU, so that should be obvious. Not a lot of depth, but it was the winner for my second group of 3. So it was not my second favorite, but the winner of the worst possible grouping. So that's all I had to say.
Gotcha. Okay. And for me, my notes say boring and the beer was mid. That was it. That's all I had to say. Just didn't do anything. And again, we're 6 into it at this point. When you're 6 beers in, there's only been one that you thought was fairly impressive. It starts to get kind of discouraging. You're like, I don't even want to write these notes anymore, man. This just wasn't that good. So that was what we got. That was the first half of our beer tasting. And so at least up until that point, nothing too impressive. So, Brian, before we cover our other 6, why don't you share some info and projections on this year's official Oktoberfest?
Yeah, for this year, it's going to be 16 days, which is a pretty typical number for Oktoberfest. It starts on September 20th and goes to October 5th of obviously 2025 this year. Around 6 million people are expected to attend. It may be more, maybe a little less. It's probably going to be a little bit more based on historical numbers. Visitors will likely spend over 1.25 billion euro on food, drinks, and rides. There are rides at Oktoberfest. The price per liter for your beer will be between 14.5 euro to 15 euro and 80 cents. They have cents. I think it's cents for euro. 30,000. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's 15.8 euro. Let's call it that. Just
there
to
we
be
go. That works.
Perfectly accurate. 30,000 beer mugs will be used and washed every single hour that they're open. For most beer tents, reservation options began to be available in spring around April or May. So if you're having trouble getting a spot in a tent, it's because you're months past the reservation time. But I think there may be some availability that's held over. I'm not sure how that works. Saturdays will be the busiest times. A lot of people ask that. Of course, they'll be the busiest times, as will the entire last weekend of the festival. Midweek before 3 p.m. will be the least busy, except for the last 5 days of the festival. Then all bets are off. Up till 3 p.m. will still be busy. Won't be as busy as every time after 3 p.m. So if you're looking, if you were there, if you're listening now and you're going to be there and you want it to be super laid back and easy access to everything, try swinging by before 3 and then, get your drink on. And then if you feel like dealing with the crowds, you'll be ready for them. So that's
liquid lunch on a Tuesday.
Exactly. I mean, 3 p.m. is not too late. They open at I think it's like 11 or 10 a.m. that you can go there, so you can get started. There won't be anybody there probably.
Right.
You can eat all the pretzels and half chickens you want and drink all the beers you want. And nobody's going to get in your way.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. And Brian, you got some stats from last year's Oktoberfest.
I do. So yeah, again, the festival lasted 16 days. It doesn't happen every year this way, but it was 16 days last year as well. It attracted 6.7 million visitors. So I expect it's going to be, this year's will probably be similar, but I believe 2024 was down from 7.3 million visitors. So it might be down a little bit this year. Roughly 25% of visitors were from outside of Germany, with the US, Italy, and the UK among the top countries of origin. Around 430,000 visitors, hit the traditional festival grounds, the Wiesn. 7 million liters of beer were consumed. Sales of traditional food actually increased by 9% compared to 2023, which is cool. The Bavarian Hendel, the half chicken, remained the most popular food choice. There are other positive trends last year. There was a significant drop in criminal offenses. It was down 25.8% compared to the previous year. Paramedics treated 29% fewer patients than in the previous year. Part of me is like, did they just outright die so they didn't require treatment? No, that didn't happen.
Shove them in a ditch.
Yeah, no, they were fine. 98,000 beer steins, aka Masskrugs, were collected by security. Those are people trying to steal them. That number was actually a decrease of 17,600 from the previous year. So fewer people trying to steal mugs too.
100,000, nearly 100,000 people trying to steal mugs.
People were trying to steal 100,000 mugs. That's basically like 3 hours worth of beer drinking right there for the festival. But yeah, that's a lot of glassware. Man.
Good stuff. Well, Brian, before we get into the second half of our tasting, how about we give a shout out to our sponsor, Truck and Tap?
That sounds like a great idea. So after months of Oktoberfest beer sales, Oktoberfest season is finally here. What's a good place to enjoy Oktoberfest? Germany. But if you don't have tickets to the annual Oktoberfest in Bavaria, Truck and Tap has you covered. They're here to save the day. They're throwing their own Oktoberfest party, if I can get that out, in just a few weeks on October 4th. They're going to be pouring German beers at their very own Bavarian-style beer garden takeover. As it is Truck and Tap, you can count on there being food involved. They will be serving up food truck favorites all day long, and there will be music. Of course, there will be music. You can't have Oktoberfest a party like that without music, and Truck and Tap has always got music on. They always have musical events. So the party is going down at all Truck and Tap locations: Woodstock, Alpharetta, Duluth, and Lawrenceville. So pick your favorite location, jot it down in your calendar right now, make a point of going there, having a good time. And you know what? I'm not going to get into beer picks for the week because their lists do not yet have the Oktoberfest beers on, and I feel weird about recommending beers that aren't Oktoberfest beers on an Oktoberfest
go there
beer
and
show.
See what they got, y'all.
Yeah.
Go check out Truck and Tap. Whatever you get, it's going to be good, and they're going to have a good variety for you.
I recommend getting the Pilsner, which is probably a German Pilsner, off the side pull tap. It's going to be great. They always have a German Pilsner or two on. Get the German beer, get the German Pilsner style. Either way, there'll be something great for you to enjoy. But as always, if you want to see what's on tap and what food trucks are serving at any time between now and then, look at truckandtap.com. The taps change quickly. The Oktoberfest may be already on. I don't know. You never know what other good beers might be going on as well. Everything you need to know about your visit can be found at truckandtap.com. So check that out. And thank you to Truck and Tap for your support.
Good stuff. Thank you, Truck and Tap. All right, y'all. The second half of our tasting. Drum roll, please. Beer number 7, Ayinger. Nate, what did you think of the Ayinger?
I said that this one had good flavor.
That's a great review.
A good flavor.
Yeah, right. Good flavor. Sorry, I had a...
How's the salt taste? Salty.
Salty.
A little bit of chocolate too. It was malty, and then it had a light bitter finish. I thought this was a very strong opening beer for this bracket.
Very cool. Brian, what are your thoughts there, sir?
After that previous group of being completely disappointed by 3 beers, I wrote this as a solid contender, number 7. Good malt flavor, nice richness, strikes me as being closer to what an Oktoberfest-Märzen should be. And I also said not perfect though. I didn't guess what it was, but I thought this was good. This was like after being let down by 3 beers. We're back on. Yeah.
Good way to start the third flight for us, huh?
Indeed.
I put very good. I said it had a nice malt character, and I definitely noticed like some toast and caramel notes in it. So it was one that definitely brought its A game. And again, after going through the first 6 beers and only having one that I truly thought was pretty enjoyable, it was really nice to get another one in our tasting. That was quite nice. So yeah, enjoyed that one. Number 8 was Hacker-Pschorr. And I'll go ahead and get mine out of the way. I have one note on this: boring. That's all I had to say about this. I didn't go into anything else. So, Nate, what did you think of the Hacker-Pschorr?
Not a ton of depth, so boring is apt.
All right. Brian, anything to add there?
It must have been really well carbonated because I said effervescent but less interesting than number 7. So I was on board with the boring part there. It did have a nice lingering toasted bread flavor, and I thought I got a little bit of an off flavor in it as well. But I wasn't that into it. And you said earlier we might be getting old stock. It's possible this may have been an old beer with higher carbonation and like a hint of an off flavor, maybe.
Since Oktoberfest season starts like early July, I thought mid-September we'd be pretty safe that we were getting fresh stock. But and maybe we did. I don't know. But all right, our number 9 beer was Shiner's Oktoberfest, and my notes on it were: this is fine. This is an okay beer. Again, one I could drink. Nothing about this one particularly stood out, but it wasn't bad. I didn't think it was boring. I'm like, all right, this is just fine. So, Brian, what were your thoughts on the Shiner?
Yeah, my main notes were this one grew on me as I was drinking it. It warmed up a little bit. I was drinking it. I'm like, you know what? I kind of like this. It's like I thought this was fine. I don't think I liked it as much as I like 7, but yeah, it was not bad.
Okay, Nate, Shiner.
So for me, those of you who have homebrewed before know what that clear homebrew flavor, homebrew taste.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the homebrew taste. For some reason, I got that with the Shiner beer, and so I just thought that it was something that I wasn't likely to pull off the shelf. Pretty quickly.
Gotcha. All right. Moving on, number 10 here we have Fat Orange Cats, Bavarian Kittens. Guys, for me, this continued with just the boring. I found this one just lacked any real character. Even to be able to define it as the style, it just was it didn't deliver. So that's my thought on the Bavarian Kittens. Brian, thoughts?
Yeah, one of my comments is, meh, this is okay. And I did have this one beforehand, and that was my thought having it when I knew what it was. Like, oh, I expected Fat Orange Cat to really deliver on something interesting. I just found it to be fine. Like both here.
Their IPAs are solid.
Yeah, they're really good.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? They're known for their IPAs for a reason and not known for the Oktoberfest probably for a reason too.
Yeah.
So, it's okay.
All right. Nate, anything to add there, sir?
In a word, the only note I had is okay.
There we go. Good enough. Our number 11 beer was Brooklyn. And y'all, I actually grouped Bavarian Kittens and Brooklyn together, and I just said, these are both boring. So, again, Brooklyn, another brewery that we expect pretty good things from, but it just didn't have anything memorable about it for me. Nate, Brooklyn?
I don't know if I was caught up in the conversation or if I was just so underwhelmed with this beer. I have no notes.
No notes. Sometimes that says it all. Brian, what do you think about Brooklyn?
The only thing I wrote down, and I think it was just fine, but the one thing I noted was this was the darkest beer that we had. It had the deepest color to it, and I actually liked the color of it a fair amount. It might have almost been too dark, but in terms of like flavor notes, like nothing particularly interesting.
There we go.
So
all right,
yeah.
And our number 12 and final beer in our tasting was from our local boys at Six Bridges Brewing, the Feierabend. And my notes said this is very good. I said it has a nice depth. There's a lot of character to this one. Very enjoyable. So those were my notes on that one. Brian, Six Bridges?
I think I wrote the some of my Brooklyn Brewery stuff down in Six Bridges. I liked the Six Bridges one. I thought it was pretty good. It had some more maltier character to it, a little deeper, a little bit of malt bitterness. But I think this ended up being my favorite of the last three that we had, and probably of that whole grouping of six. So I like this one. Yeah,
gotcha. All right, Nate.
This one I said it was fairly mellow, friendly. The bitterness on this one didn't feel quite out of place. I like this one. This one overall was one of my favorites. Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Now, y'all, we had a couple others that we drank after this, but we did not put them in. One was another local, and we really didn't get it to the last minute because it didn't release until then. The other one was one that Nate grabbed on his New England trip and is not widely available, so we didn't include that. But we had Von Trapp and Halfway Crooks. We had both of their Oktoberfest beers here. And y'all honestly think both of these could have been contenders if they were in the competition because both of those were quite good. And I don't know, Brian, when we went to Halfway Crooks, I got I believe it was I still get these two mixed up, like which one of the Pilsners has the more hoppy. It's Bavarian that has more hop character versus Czech. Is that right?
I think Bavarian has more hop character.
German Pils there.
German does, yeah.
But I got a Pilsner that was hoppier than I like in a Pilsner beer. So well made, wasn't my thing. But I don't think those guys have had a miss for me out of the beers that they've made. And that's uncommon. But really nice. Von Trapp, we had them on the show years ago. They had sent us some beers down. We enjoyed all of those. The Von Trapp Pilsner was one we enjoyed, and Nate brought some of that back. I should have heisted one of those from you, Brian, because I know you got some of those. And I left without actually hijacking any of those fancy pants beers there. But I like both those quite a lot. Nate, any thoughts on our extracurriculars there?
I agree with you guys. I think that had they been included, they easily could have been top contenders. The Halfway Crooks, we talk about those guys on the show all the time. They keep pumping out solid suds. So I'm just real excited that we have a really high quality lager house here in the Atlanta area. And then, hearing Brian espouse about how excited he was to get a chance to retry Von Trapp's Pilsner. It was just such a treat to be able to go up to the New England area and bring some of that back. So having the Oktoberfest by Von Trapp as an exhibition, it was just a treat to have on the show for sure.
Good stuff. Yeah. Brian, how about you, man?
I thought we had we actually got into the Von Trapp Oktoberfest and not the Pilsner after the show. Maybe we did both.
We did. No, I was just saying, commenting that their Pilsner was good when we had it before, and that you've got some of that. Correct.
Got it. And I do. And I had one earlier, and it is quite nice. Yeah. But my notes were that had they been involved in the ranking, assuming I would have tasted this blind, I would have probably put the Halfway Crooks Fest beer as my number one, and the Von Trapp Oktoberfest is my number two. I like both of those a great deal. We also had Schoolhouse's Beer Garden Backpacker that's left over from last year that I happen to have. We opened up. It's lost some. It was a little heavy on the carbonation, but honestly, I don't know.
Now, for those that don't know what that one is, that is a collaboration beer we did with Schoolhouse last year, where we had a pinball tournament to raise funds for St. Jude, and they did a collaboration beer with us and donated a portion of the proceeds to St. Jude. So that's what that beer was. And that one we know for a fact was a year old.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And fresh, it was great. It was really
very
good beer
when it was fresh.
I drank a ton of it when it was fresh, but had a little bit of it left over, and it's still a solid beer. It's just not specifically anymore. It seems to have lost any kind of real identity in terms of, I would not have said that was a Märzen or anything like that. It doesn't taste necessarily like anything, but it also tastes fine. It's a little overcarbonated because I think some things were active in the can, but honestly held up pretty well for a year-old beer of that style. You really shouldn't be aging something like that. So kind of on me that it still even exists, but hey, there we go. But those were all fun to drink. I liked all of those.
Yeah, so they're not part of our official tasting, but if you're in an area where you can get Von Trapp or Halfway Crooks beers, their Oktoberfest offerings are quite nice, and we recommend them. So, Brian, before we get into our winners, which if you've been listening along here and taking notes, you probably can guess what we're going to say, but you have done a little history and transition on the way the preferred beer styles at Oktoberfest have changed over the years.
Yeah. So a lot of how the beers have evolved over time and how they were selected had to do with some historic brewing laws. Basically, historically brewing was only allowed from September 29th, which is St. Michael's Day, to April 23rd, which is St. George's Day in Germany. And since people wanted beer year round, brewers started making stronger amber colored beer late in the brewing season. They called it Märzen or March beer after when they were brewing it. And for many years, 1900 to 1970, Märzen was, in fact, the king of Oktoberfest. But what we in the U.S. know as Oktoberfest beer, a.k.a. the Märzen, is not the most popular beer at Oktoberfest right now. Today, the Golden Fest beer, which is a high ABV Helles, is the king of Oktoberfest. It's an easier drinking style than the Märzens that are favored in the U.S. right now. They usually also have a little bit of a higher ABV, so they're a little more dangerous. You can have some fun with those. So the transition to this style of beer taking over Oktoberfest began in 1953 when Augustiner introduced their lighter color Edelstoff, I think that's right, which took over as the most popular beer at Oktoberfest. The Fest beer style is so popular in Germany that Polliner's Oktoberfest Märzen is mainly brewed for people outside of Germany. That's the Polliner we usually see. You can still get the Märzen in Germany, but it isn't really called Oktoberfest there. They call it Munich Märzen instead. Locally, Polliner pours Oktoberfest Wiesen Fest beer. That's their thing at the big festival there. Märzens and Fest beers haven't always been the kings of Oktoberfest either. There have been other things. The favorite style of Oktoberfest beers has changed a lot over the years. From 1810 to 1870, it was the Dunkel. People were drinking Dunkels at the festival. From 1872 to 1900, it was the Bock. Then, as we said before, 1900 to 1970 was the Märzen. And about 1970 is when Fest beer started taking over. And it's been going strong ever since. So that is what you could expect from the beers in Oktoberfest and how they all got to be where they're at. But a good Dunkel and a good Bock are still great. And you should still drink those. And you know what? Open a few up during Oktoberfest just to, appreciate the older
Crack
days.
them open. Enjoy the good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Brian, something fun every year. I think we've talked about most of these, but if you need some German drinking phrases to shout out while you're enjoying your Oktoberfest, Brian's got a few for you.
Well, if you're hitting Oktoberfest early, Frühschoppen might be one that you might not shout out, but you might be participating in. That is the tradition of meeting at a pub late in the morning and drinking Weiss beer, or I will open it up and let it be Fest beers too. Sometimes eating a meal. It was popular for after church services in certain regions of Germany, but with the decline of church attendance is less common to these things. But Frühschoppen is something I think you do at Oktoberfest, drinking in the morning. They open at 10 or 11, so you could do this. The big one everybody hears is "Oh, Saft is." It is tapped, and you should yell that every time you open up a beer during Oktoberfest, in my opinion.
But wherever you are,
anywhere, yes, all the time. Traditionally, it's proclaimed by the mayor of Munich when he is tapping, or she, when whoever is tapping the ceremonial keg, or king, whatever, to kick off Oktoberfest. If you're tapping a king, you can yell Zapfis too. So, Prost, obviously everybody knows that. That's cheers. Zum Wohl is to your health. And that's also a good thing to shout out while you're drinking. I don't think you want to shout this, but maybe if you see people laying all over the ground, you might yell beer lichen. That means beer corpses. That's what the locals call the people that get drunk too early and pass out in the grass at Oktoberfest. And when they're drinking Fest beer, this is going to happen. Gemütlichkeit is the state or feeling of warmth, friendliness, and good cheer. So that's what everybody's filled with at the Oktoberfest, especially in those tents. And you're going to hear in the tents, especially, Eins, zwei, drei, Gesufe, which means 1, 2, 3, drink. And my German pronunciation, I apologize for that. So, Eins, zwei, drei, Gesufe.
Drink.
Yeah.
Good stuff. All the German we need to know there. And Brian, people like to drink and shout things and pass out on the grass at Oktoberfest, but there's some games there too. There's a few traditional ones. So what are some of the traditional games?
So in addition to like they have carnival rides, I mentioned that before. There are rides that people can buy into. They've got a swing carousel, the Ferris wheel, I guess the largest mobile drop tower in the world. If you like being dropped from high places, you can be dropped while you've been drinking. So that'll be great.
Sounds like at Oktoberfest, you're just asking for people to hurl all over everything.
I just assume that there's just a trough at the bottom, just like giant field to collect all that. And they have the largest transportable roller coaster in the world, apparently, that's brought in. But in terms of actual games, they have yodeling competitions. They've got beer stein races. I've seen video of this where you try to run and see how far you can carry your beer stein without spilling any, and people generally don't do too great. It's fun to watch because the beer winds up all over the ground. There is the one that everybody knows about, which is the stein holding, or Maßkrugstemmen, I think. It's holding a liter of beer out in front of you for as long as you can, and it gets really heavy really quick when you're holding it and not drinking it. Interestingly enough, there is a U.S. Steinholding Association, and the U.S. men's national Steinholding record is 21 minutes and 17 seconds. It was set by Michael Tyler at the 2018 Lenny Coyne Memorial Hofbräu Maßkrugstemmen Championships at there's so many at a parade in New York's Oktoberfest. So we'll just summarize it that way. There's a lot of words there, and they're all hard to say.
So many words, man. So many words.
And we've got another one that reminds me of some games I've heard that people around here sometimes like to play. In Germany, they call it Hammerschlagen, which is hammering a nail into a stump. I think I've heard that people around here call it stump, but each person gets a swing at the nail until somebody nails it. I don't know exactly how that works, but there's a lot of drinking involved and swinging of hammers and possibly injuries, so it's all good fun. There is also sausage sculpting contests, which sound great. The chicken dance, which everybody knows, and you're likely to see giant chess or beer checkers or that sort of thing when you're there too. So anything you can think of that's a party game, you're probably gonna see at Oktoberfest. There's a lot of shenanigans going down.
Shenanigans everywhere. Yeah. Well, y'all, something I enjoy about Oktoberfest is the music there and what they get into. And some of the songs that are popular there may surprise you. You know, they got some international hits. I think Oktoberfest, one of the most popular ones there that I'm sure we've all heard is Ein Prosit.
Yes.
That's always sang. You're definitely going to hear that one. And again, I'm not going to say this correctly, but in München steht ein Hofbräuhaus. So that is, Munich's the Hofbräuhaus. So that is definitely a popular one. Another traditional one is Fliegerlied, which is an upbeat polka children's style song, and the Liechtensteiner polka is another traditional one. Now, there's some international songs that you may not think are popular at Oktoberfest, but they are wildly popular and get a lot of crowd participation with sing-alongs. One of those is the Neil Diamond classic Sweet Caroline.
Yeah, of course.
Another is Good Old Country Roads from John Denver, man. That is a surprise popular song at Oktoberfest from Gloria Gaynor. I Will Survive.
Really?
Is a popular Oktoberfest song. And another one, the White Striped Seven Nation Army, surprisingly enough, is popular there. So,
well, I get that. That song is kind of taken over every soccer stadium. Like if you watch any games, man, you're gonna hear Seven Nation Army. You're gonna hear that like part of it. So I imagine that doesn't surprise me at all. That's gonna get played probably several times.
Yeah,
people are gonna get rowdy when they hear that.
So as I'm talking to Chat GPT here, it asked me, do you want me to put you together a nice mix of traditional and modern songs for an Oktoberfest playlist? So guys, what do you think I said?
Oh, you said yes. I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
So of course we're getting all the traditional ones there. They've got Ein Prosit, the Hofbräuhaus, Liechtensteiner polka, the Fliegerlied there. Now they've got one here that they're calling German Schlager and Party Hits. And I'm trying to remember Schlager. The drink, does that mean like Jägermeister is drink? No, Jägermeister is Huntmaster, right?
Is that
Jaeger?
Yeah.
Schlager. What am I thinking? Schlager, I think, is drink. Is it not? Does anybody? Let's. You know what? Hold on.
Yeah, you
what
might
does
have
Schlager mean? Let's see here.
Just gonna have to ask. I'm sure I've heard
we're in
this.
here already. We're not going to try and front y'all's hit. Excuse me.
Oh,
hit.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Schlager is the way they said, pronounce something like Schlager is a German word that literally means hit, as in a hit song. So there we go. So the German Schlager and party hits are, oh gosh, man, so much German in these German songs. Atemlos der Die Nacht from Helene Fischer, Layla by DJ Robin and Scherze, Cordula Grun. I'm going to have to listen to these because these are all brand new to me. Ein Stern from DJ Utsi, Joanna from Peter Wackel, and Hula Paloo from Andreas Gabalier. And y'all, we'll put these in the show notes because there's no way you know what I'm talking about by saying this. But then, of course, the international songs, in addition to the ones we mentioned, Sweet Caroline, Country Roads, Seven Nation Army. There's also Angels by Robbie Williams. And I know I'd heard about this one, the Living Next Door to Alice song.
Oh, really?
Alice, who the F is Alice?
Yes,
the crowd chant there. So there we go. Then, of course, you've got a few stadium anthems here that they like to play. The Seven Nation Army there. We Are the Champions by Queen. Don't Stop Believing from Journey. And another one from Queen, We Will Rock You. So that may
I'm not surprised by any
what
of that.
you get into. Well, y'all, we are at the point of the show where we're going to reveal our top 3 beers. Nate, what was your number 3?
My number 3 was from Six Bridges, the fire band.
Feierabend, something like that, right?
Yeah, that one. Apologies for the mispronunciation.
No worries.
It's a tough word.
We're doing our best here. Brian, what was your number 3?
Mine was also Feierabend. So that number 12. Yeah.
Guys, mine was also the Feierabend. So that's when we all agreed on the number 3 spot was the Six Bridges there. So Nate,
Party Nate's.
Party Nate. That's right. He mixed it up. What's Party Nate's?
Was number 7, the Ayinger.
Okay. All right. There you go. So mixing it up just a little bit there. Nate, what was your number 2?
The number 7, the Ayinger.
All right. There we go. Brian, your number 2?
Also number 7, the Ayinger.
There you go. And guys, mine was also the Ayinger, the number 7 there. What party Nate have for his number 2?
Number 12, the Six Bridges.
Right. There we go.
So he did swap them. Yeah.
All right. And Nate, what was your numero uno?
So we did tease that we all the same order at the beginning of the show. So my numero uno was number 1 for Weihenstephaner for Festbier.
Brian?
Weihenstephaner Festbier.
Mine was also the Weihenstephaner Festbier. And that was Party Nate's number 1 as well, right?
That is accurate, yeah.
All right, y'all.
Swept.
So
It's
just for what it's worth, 4 people blind tasting all came up with the same number 1 there. So and all 4 of us had the Weihenstephaner, the Ayinger, and the Six Bridges on our list, although Party Nate mixed it up with swapping number 3 and 2 there. But that seems like a pretty consistent, consistency there. There's a word I was looking for, and I was I can't remember it, but we were all very consistent in what we liked. Consensus was the word.
Consensus, yes,
pretty solid consensus. But y'all, that's another Oktoberfest wrapped up. We definitely recommend you grab at least these 3. And you know what? If you tried some of the others, please do let us know what you thought of them. Let us know if they hit for you. These would be the 3 that we throw out there that we definitely think that you should get into if you're doing some festing. But definitely check out your local stuff, see what they have to offer, because some of those are really good. And that is one thing we had, like with the Six Bridges and the Halfway Crooks and even the Von Trapp. We know those were fresh because we got those, from the breweries, or from the local market. So no question on any of those. But good times as always, guys. We always enjoy the Oktoberfest show. Good eats, good beers. Just tis the season, and we always enjoy it. We hope you have a good week. We hope you enjoy any Oktoberfest festivities that you get into. If you dig what we're doing here, we'd love for you to tell a friend to tune into the show. Share it on your socials. Get the word out there. Get more listeners to the show. If you really dig us, go to patreon.com/beer guys. We would appreciate your support. very much there. But with all that said, we hope that you have a very good week. And don't forget to drink local. Prost.